Thank you. I think we can start. Jose, can you just check that you can hear me? Sorry, can you hear me? You can hear me? Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're ready to start. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you to the annual general meeting of Ellah Lakes PLC. The chairman of our company, Mr. Olumide, is unavoidably absent on a national duty. So my name is Chuka Modi, and I will be standing in for Olu Akbata. I'm the managing director of Ellah Lakes PLC. Please, can you all make sure your phones have been switched off or on silent mode for the duration of this meeting? I would like to introduce the auditors of the company, Olabode Akonde & Co., whose reports we shall be taking during the meeting. I'd also like to introduce Ms. Ezezeka of Oak Legal, our company secretary, and our registrars, Cardinal Stone Registrars Limited, represented by Stella Kolawole, Damilola Longe, and Temitope Bankole. The Nigerian Stock Exchange and the Securities and Exchange Commission are also here represented. The company has received the consent of the Corporate Affairs Commission to convene this annual general meeting through the use of proxies in keeping with the COVID-19 protocols of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. I will now invite the company secretary to read out the list of proxies and confirm their attendance.
Thank you, Mr. Modi. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In line with the CAC guidelines, attendance of the AGM will be by proxy. The shareholders are required to appoint a proxy and have appointed a proxy from this list. Mr. Chuka Modi, Ms. Osaro Oyego, Mr. Mena Fund, and Mr. Nini Omojola. Confirm that all the proxies are here present. Thank you, Mr. Modi. Notice is hereby given that the annual general meeting of Ellah Lakes PLC has now been rescheduled to hold at the workstation number 7 Ibiyinka Olorunbe Close, Victoria Island, Lagos, Nigeria, on Monday, 22nd November 2021 at 11 a.m. to transact the following business. Ordinary business. 1, to lay before members the audited financial statements of the company for the year ended 31 July 2021 and the reports of the directors, auditors, and audit committee thereon. To re-elect directors retiring by rotation. To reappoint Olabode Akonde & Co. as the auditors of the company. To authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of auditors. To disclose the remuneration of the managers of the company in line with the provisions of Section 257 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. And to elect members to the audit committee. Special business. Consider and if thought fit to pass with or without modification as an ordinary resolution of the company that the board of directors of the company be and is hereby authorized to list the shares of the company on the London Stock Exchange. Note, Following the restriction on gatherings and in adherence to social distancing directives due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Corporate Affairs Commission issued guidelines on holding AGM of public companies by proxy. The convening and conduct of the AGM shall be in accordance with the CAC's guidelines. A member of the company entitled to attend and vote is entitled to appoint a proxy to attend and vote in his stead. The proxy need not be a member. The proxy form was enclosed in the annual report, and to be valid, a proxy form must be completed in accordance with the instructions thereon, stamped by the Commissioner of Stamp Duties, and deposited at the registered office of the company's registrar, not less than 48 hours before the scheduled time of the meeting. Stamping of proxy. The company has made arrangements at its cost for the stamping of the duly completed and signed proxy forms submitted to the company's registrars within the stipulated time. The AGM will be streamed live online. This will enable shareholders and other stakeholders who will not be attending physically to follow the proceedings. The AGM will be streamed live via Zoom, and the link has been shared to all the shareholders. The register of members and transfer books of the company will be closed from Monday, 8 November 2021 to Friday, 12 November 2021 to enable the registrars to make necessary preparations for the AGM. In accordance with Section 2731 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, Ms. Osaro Oyego, Mr. Evans Japa Jones, Mr. Joe Atoyin, and Mr. Maxwell Oko will retire by rotation and, being eligible, offer themselves for re-election. Audit Committee. In accordance with Section 4043 of the Company and Allied Matters Act, any shareholder may nominate another shareholder for appointment to the Audit Committee. Such nomination shall be in writing and delivered to the Company Secretary at least 21 days before the annual general meeting. Shareholders' right to ask questions. The shareholders reserve the right to ask questions at the annual general meeting. Shareholders may also submit their questions prior to the meeting in writing to the company in line with Rule 1912 of the Listing Rules of the Nigerian Exchange Limited. Such questions must be addressed to the company secretary by electronic email at secretariat@oaklegal.com not later than 7 days before the date of the meeting, dated this 5th day of October 2021 by order of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ezezika. By the provisions of Article 10B of the Articles of Association of our company, 3 persons eligible to vote at the annual general meeting shall be a quorum. May I now call on the registrars to give a report of the proxies received.
Amounting to 1,354,944 units of the Ellah Lakes Plc shares, which constitutes 65.08% of the share capital.
Thank you very much. Now on the voting. Shareholders who have duly appointed a proxy have indicated the manner in which such proxies should vote on each resolution on the instrumented point in the proxy. These have been collated and will be displayed by the registrar in respect of each resolution. On questions. With your permission, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to proceed by dealing with questions relating to each resolution immediately before that resolution is put to the meeting. I will firstly deal with the questions that have been submitted to the registrars or to the company secretary later during this meeting. So now on to the business of the meeting. Number 8, receive the financial statements of the company for the year ended 31st July 2021 and the reports of the directors, auditors, and audit committee thereon. The first item on the agenda is to receive the audited financial statements of the company for the year ended 31st July 2021 and the reports of the directors, auditors, and audit committee thereon. By the provisions of the Companies and Allied Matters Act The directors of the company are required to lay before this meeting the last audited financial statements and reports, which are contained in the company's 2021 annual report. Copies of the 2021 annual reports were sent to all the shareholders and have been distributed to the shareholders present today. The report is also available on the company's NSE portal, its website, and the website of the registrars for downloading. The original accounts and copies duly signed are available at this meeting for verification. I will now call on Mr. Olabode Akonde to present the auditor's report. Mr. Olabode Akonde.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. With the report of the auditors, members of Ellah Lakes Plc. We have audited the financial statements of Ellah Lakes Plc, which comprise the statement of financial position that are first July 2021, the statement of comprehensive income, statement of changes, statement of items, and notes to the financial statement, including summary of income and now, the accompanying financial statements if we compare the financial position of Ellah Lakes Plc July 2021. Financial performance is cash flow of the year ended on that day. Companies and allied matters are taking international financial reporting and are required basis of our opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with the international standards on audit. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statement sections of our report. We are independent of the company in accordance with the International Ethics Standard for accountants, Code of Ethics and Professional Accountants, together with ethical requirements that are relevant for our audit for the financial statement. And we are completing our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with this requirement and the ISPA code. We believe that all this evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide basis for our opinion. The director's report and other information contained therein are the responsibilities of the director. Our opinion does not cover this report, and accordingly, we do not express any form of assurance thereof. It is our responsibility to read the other information and in doing so, consider whether the information is materially inconsistent with financial statement or with knowledge obtained in the audit, or otherwise appears to be materially mistaken. If based on our work, we conclude that there is such material misstatement within the other information in our reports, we are required to report that fact according to section 407, section 5 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act. In this case, we have nothing to report. Key audit matters. Key audit matters are those matters that in our professional judgment are of significant importance in the performance of our audit. These matters were fully addressed during the audit. In informing our opinion, we do not provide a separate opinion on this matter. And number one of the key audit matters is the acquisition. The company recently acquired 80% of a newly incorporated company, which is called Ellah Lakes Plc. It also recently acquired 5,000 hectares of agricultural land in those states. The company, that is Ellah Lakes Plc, is a joint project with those state government. The government owns the remaining 20%, while Ellah Lakes Plc owns 80%. We have reviewed the process of consolidation of the assets of the newly acquired company. There is sufficient evidence that the consolidation was planned to standard. Number 2, agricultural loan from Central Bank of Nigeria. During the year, the company accessed a loan of 940 million from Central Bank of Nigeria under the real sector support for oil palm plantation. We have reviewed the documentation and the accounting entry passed by management. We have reviewed that line standard accounting procedure. Those are the key audits. The responsibility of the directors of the NIRS. The directors are responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of this measure statement. We are in compliance with the requirement of both Nigeria Revenue Council Act number 6 of 2011 and Government and Allied Matters Act 2020. This responsibility includes designing, implementing, and maintaining legal relevant preparation and fair presentation of measure statements that are free from material mistakes, selecting and applying appropriate accounting policies, and making accounting estimates that are reasonable in circumstances. Our own responsibilities as auditors. Our responsibility is to express an independent opinion on this measure statement based on our audit. We conducted our audit in accordance with Nigerian standards on audit, issued by the Institute of Accountants of Nigeria. Those standards require that we comply with ethical requirements and plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material mistakes. An audit involves performing procedures to obtain audit evidence about the amounts and disclosures in the financial statement. The procedures selected depend on the auditor's judgment, including the assessment of the risks of material misstatements of the financial statement. Making those risk assessments, the auditor considers internal control relevant to the entity's preparation and fair presentation of the financial statement in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the entity's interaction. An audit also includes evaluating the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates made by the director, as well as evaluating the overall presentation of the assessment. The Companies and Allied Matters Act 2023 requires that in carrying out our audit to consider and report to the following matters. To confirm that 1, we have obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, are necessary for the purpose of our audit. 2, in our opinion, proper books of accounts are kept by the company. And 3, the company's statement of financial position and profit of loss and other comprehensive income and agreement with books of account. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Akonde. I will now call on Osaro Oyegun, the chairman of the Audit Committee, to present the report of the Audit Committee to the members.
Good morning. Report of the Audit Committee, the members of Ellah Lakes PLC. In accordance with the provisions of Section 4042 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, we, the members of the Audit Committee of Ellah Lakes PLC, having carried out our statutory functions under the Act, hereby report that A, The accounting and reporting policies of the company are consistent with legal requirements and ethical practices. B, review the scope and planning of the external audit for the period ended July 31, 2020, and we confirm that they are adequate. C, we have considered the independent auditor's post-audit report and management's responses thereon and are satisfied thereto. Members of the audit committee are myself, Ms. Osaro Egon, Chairman, Augustine Ezechukwu, Shareholders Representative, Wilfred Edupai, Shareholders Representative, Olugbo Shareholders Representative, Ms. Nenna Oyewuchi, Directors Representative, Enotie Obebo, Directors Representative. Signed by myself, Osaro Egon, Chairman of the Audit Committee. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Diego. The company secretary received two questions. One from Lukman Aderbibe, a shareholder of the company, and from Paul Erinze, also a shareholder of the company. We'll be taking these questions during the course of this meeting. I propose that a member move a motion for the acceptance of the annual reports and accounts for the year ended 31st July 2021. Okay. Yes, actually, the questions from Lukman Adegbube and Mr. Adekbai, I can take before we move this motion. Question one was on when the business will start generating revenue and returns, as Mr. Adegbube had noticed that the revenue of the company had been reported as nil for a while due to the new oil palm plantation being developed. I think this answer is fairly straightforward. The first planting season was at the end of 2019. The most optimistic outlook for oil palm is 3 years, so we expect to be generating revenues from oil palm in 2023. On the cassava side, we planted cassava last year. We have an offtake agreement with flour mills and Dufil, so we expect to be generating revenue from that by the second quarter of 2022. I hope that answers that question satisfactorily. And Mr. Paul Arinze's question on listing will be taken later during the course of this meeting. So I propose that a member move a motion for the acceptance of the annual reports and accounts for the year ended 31st July 2021. Mr. Banji Olubosun. Stella.
I move. I propose.
Okay, can I get a member to second the motion?
I so second. I so second.
Okay, great.
I so second. I say second. Augustine Ezechukwu.
So registrars.
And the report of the directors, auditors, they have 100% votes to give the resolution, amounting to 101.
Thank you. Based on the voting, I declare the resolution carried. (8.2) Re-election of directors retiring by rotation. The next item on the agenda is the re-election of directors. In accordance with Section 285 of CAMA, 1/3 of the directors of the company for the time being shall retire at this annual general meeting and, being eligible, offer themselves for re-election. I call on the company secretary to read out the retiring directors for 2021 financial year.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The retiring directors are Ms. Saro Oyego, Mr. Evans Jakwa Jones, Mr. Joe Atwain, and Mr. Maxwell Oko. All of them have offered themselves for re-election. Ms. Osaro Oyego, Mr. Evans Jakwa Jones, Ms. Mr. Joe Atwain and Mr. Maxwell Oko. And all of them have offered themselves for re-election.
I move that the re-election of the retiring directors aforesaid be made by a single resolution of the shareholders. Can the registrars display the votes in favor of this resolution? Okay. Okay, I now call on any shareholder to move the motion, to second the motion for re-election of the retiring directors by a single resolution. Okay, Mr. Mena Ajapovi.
Resolution to re-elect Mr. Oyelu, Mr. Ellah Lakes Jones, and Mr. Joe Atoi and Mr. Maxwell Oko as directors. We have 100% votes in favor of the resolution, amounting to 1,301,654,944 units of shares. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I declare the resolution carried. Be it resolved that the aforesaid Osaro Oyegun, Evans, Jakpa Jones, Joe Atwei, and Mr. Maxwell Oko be and are hereby re-elected as directors of the company. Reappointing Olabode Akonde and Co. as auditors of the company. The next business of the day is to reappoint Olabode Akonde and Co. as auditors of the company. In accordance with section 401(2) of CAMA, a retired auditor may be appointed without any resolution. Messrs. Olabode Akonde and Co. have indicated their willingness to continue to act as auditors to the company. I now call on any shareholder to move the motion for the reappointment of Olabode Akonde and Co. as auditors of the company.
I move the motion.
May I call on a member to second? Okay. So 8.4, authorizing directors.
For resolution to reappoint Olabode Akonde and Co. as we have 100% vote in favor of the resolution, amounting to 1,301,654,944 units of shares. There were no against and there were no abstained. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. The next business of the day is to declare and, okay, I hereby declare the resolution carried. The next business of the day is to declare and fix remuneration of the auditors appointed in accordance with section 401 of CAMA for the financial year ended July 31st, 2022. Section 481B of CAMA stipulates that the remuneration of the external auditors shall be determined by the company in general meeting or in such manner as the company general meeting may determine. I now propose that the directors be and are hereby authorized to fix the remuneration of the auditors for the year ending 31st July 2022. Will the shareholder please second the motion? Banji.
Second the motion.
Thank you. Thank you.
I second the motion.
Can the registrars please display the votes in favor of this resolution?
As the directors to fix the remuneration of auditors, we have 100% vote in favor of the said resolution, amounting to 1,301,654,944 units of shares. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the election of shareholders of the company to the Statutory Audit Committee for the financial year ending 31st July 2022. Section 404 of CAMA mandates that each public company shall establish an audit committee and establishes the functions of the committee. The external auditors, in addition to its reports to the shareholders, are required to submit a report to this committee. The committee shall consist of 5 members comprising of 2 directors and 3 representatives of the shareholders of the company. Members of the committee shall not be entitled to remuneration and shall be subject to re-election yearly. The board has approved the re-election of the following two directors to serve on the audit committee for the financial year ending 31st July 2022. Osaro Oyegun, Nena Onyewuchi. The company secretary has received only 3 nominations of the following members to represent the shareholders' interests on the audit committee, and they are the same members as last year. Mr. Olubosun Banji, nominated by Ms. Agu Ngozi Martha. Mr. Augustine Ezechukwu, nominated by Mr. Banji Olubosun. And Mr. Edukbai Wilfred, nominated by Mr. Bright Izomo. In the absence of any opposition, the following 3 persons are re-elected to represent the shareholders on the audit committee for the year ending 31st July 2022. The audit committee therefore has the following membership: 1, Osaro Oyegun; 2, Nena Onyewuchi; 3, Banji Olubosun; 4, Augustine Ezechukwu; and 5, Wilfred Edukbai. Okay. Next agenda on the item is the special business of considering the authorization of directors of the company to list its shares on the London Stock Exchange. We've had a question on this by Paul Arinze, so I will take this opportunity to answer that question and also elaborate on the reasons for doing this. The rationale is quite straightforward and simple. We have a significant CapEx requirement over the next few years. And what we want to do is, from the point of view of raising capital and equity for the company, be also listed on the market that has significant depth and liquidity. So the Nigerian Stock Exchange is quite significant for us. Being listed on the main board is a very good thing. But in terms of expanding the focus of the company to be a West African, Pan-African company, and with the CapEx requirement over the next 5 years in line with our strategic plans, it's necessary for us to be on a market that has more depth, more liquidity, and the capacity to raise the CapEx that we want to. So I hope this answers the question and gives an outline of why we're doing what we're currently doing. So going forward, I'm proposing that a member move the motion to authorize the directors of the company to list the shares of the company at the London Stock Exchange.
I so move, Mr. Augustine Ezechukwu.
I second the motion. Evans,
Move.
I said something. I move the motion.
And okay, thank you. So can the registers please display the votes in favor of this resolution?
The resolution that the board of directors of the company be hereby authorized to list the shares of the company on the London Stock Exchange. We have 100% vote in favor of the resolution, amounting to 1,301,654,944 units of shares. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I declare the resolution carried. Be it resolved that the board of the company be and is hereby authorized to list the shares of the company on the London Stock Exchange. Thank you. Any other business? Now that the single agenda of the day has been treated, I should ask if there's any other business, but given that we have been notified by the proxies beforehand, there's no other business unless it's being raised at this point. Okay. Thank you. In the absence of any other business, can someone please move a motion for the closing of the meeting?
I so move, Mr. Augustine Ezechukwu. I so move.
And can someone second? Banji. Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the business of the annual general meeting. I now declare this meeting closed. And I thank very much on the behalf of the board, management, and staff of our company. I thank everyone for attending this meeting, especially our proxies, and showing so much interest in the affairs of our company. I now declare this meeting closed. Thank you very much.